Rumors suggest that Pete Davidson might have started dating actress Kate Beckinsale, who is 20 years older than him, after they were seen leaving the Golden Globes party together. But the fact is that months after separating from his fiancée, Pete is just not over it yet. Today, we will tell you how Pete is living a miserable life without Ariana Grande. Few people knew about him before he started dating Ariana Grande. In a blink of an eye, he jumped to the front pages of the world's famous magazines and news websites. Pete Davidson is today known as the guy who briefly got engaged to Ariana. But did you know that Davidson had a really hard life before his engagement? And there is a story behind how he started to work as a comedian on Saturday Night Live. Today, we will tell you all you need to know about Pete Davidson, with or without Ariana. But first, let's briefly review what we know of his relationship with the singer. Both seemed deeply in love, but when they met, Ariana was deeply hurt by her previous relationship with the late Mac Miller. And maybe Pete was only a rebound guy for her, so she jumped into Pete's arms without actually being in love with him. Mac was a young rapper who battled addiction for quite some time. Grande said that she put so much into their relationship, but in the end, she had to end things for her own sanity. There are people who to this day still say that the reason behind Miller's death was having Ariana away from him. Mac lost his life by an overdose of substances, something that happened while Ariana was in a new relationship with Pete. Ariana was devastated. It was clear that she still had feelings for him even after their break. Grande fans wondered if maybe Davidson was a safe option after what happened with Miller. But the truth is that he was not the one who could bring peace and joy to her life. Pete had an exceptionally difficult life, which started when he was just a kid. At the age of 7, his dad left his life forever, leaving his world upside down. Scott Matthew Davidson was a firefighter who lost his life in 9/11. Growing up without the person he admired most was extremely difficult for Pete. So to help him, his mother took him to dozens of specialists and shrinks. The trauma affected Davidson so much that at some point he was ripping his hair out until he was bald. He was oftentimes having fights with his peers and was forced to change schools frequently. His mother took him back to therapy and did everything possible for her child to be able to cope with his loss better. Despite all the efforts his mother made, Davidson still was having difficulties, so he turned to marijuana to help with his emotional pain. Davidson lived with constant physical pain as a result of Crohn's disease, so marijuana relieved him of gastrointestinal problems and helped him with his pain. At 16, he decided to try his luck with comedy for the first time at a bowling alley in his neighborhood. Even though he was disturbed by the death of his father, through comedy, he found a less destructive way to cope with it. He found out that he could express all his feelings through humor, so that it became his defense mechanism. Pete later on was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which explained his depression, mood swings, and impulsive behavior. Being diagnosed and learning to cope with the disorder was a nightmare for him when he met Cassie David, and they were in a relationship for 2 years. Cassie's love and attention helped him to stabilize. She and Davidson seemed to have a happy relationship, and in photos they looked good together. But of course, things are not always like what they seem. Apparently, during their relationship, Davidson had proposed to Cassie repeatedly but was rejected over and over again until she decided to put an end to the relationship. After the breakup, Davidson met Grande, in the perfect time of their lives when they were both in similar places, which is the reason behind their rush. Borderline personality disorder made Pete live his life in extremes, which can make him a difficult man to handle. But he firmly believed Ariana and him could overcome everything together. Things went as far as a marriage proposal, and this time his partner accepted. However, Davidson was particularly stressed because he thought he was not good enough for her, and he ended up facing his worst fear. Once again, Pete tried to use this sad period of his life as an inspiration for his comedy. Apparently, Grande did not understand the jokes, and on her Twitter she said it was sad that Davidson was trying to stay relevant by discussing their breakup. The words of Ariana broke Pete and triggered his most worrying message, saying he no longer wants to be in this world. This was an extremely disturbing message for his fans and followers, and many began to worry about his safety, even Ariana Grande. This was the last straw for Pete, and then he removed his Instagram account, a move that made everyone worry even more. but after a welfare check, it was reported that he was fine. We know that breakups are extremely harsh, and the sadness is even harder to endure when a person suffers from a mental disorder. What Pete needs to focus on now is himself and his recovery. At SNL, his colleagues, including his boss, have publicly expressed their support for him. Davidson has always been honest about his mental problems. He has always had an open fight against bipolar disorder and believes it is necessary to cope naturally with it to help other people who are going through the same thing. What do you think about Pete? Is Ariana Grande the one to blame for Pete's pain? Let us know what you think in the comments section. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one.